Joining me on the show, as she always does on a Friday, the wonderful Tanya Unkovich. Tanya, welcome to the show.
Good morning. How are you today?
Oh, doing very well. And actually, today on the show, we're going to be continuing a theme that we really delved into on Tuesday on the show. We looked at the whole arena of storytelling and the stories we tell ourselves. Now, Tanya, this is something you've kind of looked into as well.
Well, it is. It's something I've done a lot of work on and had to study about. It's part of learning how to be a therapist too, is learning how do people identify their stories and have the courage to change them and let them go. Because, what happens is we allow these stories to change to remain. And what that does is it changes our life, doesn't it? Because we start believing these stories as if they were true.
Yeah, it's amazing the things that we can tell ourselves. And I don't think we really realise that we're doing it until we sit down and go, is this true? Is this helping me?
Yeah.
All of those good questions to ask. But unless you're asking those questions, you don't really see the stories that you're placing on your life, do you?
Well, no, you don't really see them until you start to feel really uncomfortable or until you start to notice that you're repeating a behaviour, a pattern, time and time again, whether it be an addictive behaviour, whether it just be a certain mood that's your go-to mood, one of feeling down or guilty or whatever. It's because of this story that's going on in your mind. And, the great thing is if you can actually notice the behaviour, notice how uncomfortable you're feeling, notice the trigger, then you'll be able to identify, well, why am I doing this? Why am I feeling this? Oh, it's because this is what's going on in my head.
This is a story I'm telling myself. Now, I mean, we want to say some stories are really good, right?
Well, some are great, yeah. If you've got this fantastic belief about yourself that, hey, I can do anything I want to. I can put my mind to anything. All I need to do is a bit of hard work or a bit of work and get the right action. So if you've got this really positive belief that no matter what you try, you will at least try harder until you get there, that's great. But then again, the exact opposite is true as well, isn't it? We've also got these other stories where they're not as empowering. If anything, they're limiting. They're limiting how we feel. They're limiting what we do in our life. They're limiting our emotion of joy and happiness. So those are the ones you want to identify.
Yeah, because words are powerful. So the words we're saying in our head, like, oh, I can't do this. I'm no good at this. That's really limiting, right?
Oh, very much so. And as a result of those stories and those words going around in your head or even out of your mouth when you actually say them, then sooner or later that's going to just be something that you believe to be true, that it's going to be gospel for you, And how many times do you see people who maybe, for example, they go on a food plan and they shed a lot of weight and the numbers are right on the scales, but actually in their mind they've still got this feeling, I'm fat. I've always been fat, so I'm probably going to be fat again. And then the weight comes back again. It's the same thing. So really, most definitely, one wants to look at what is it that's stopping me from having this lasting change. And it is so often that voice, that language in our head.
Yeah, so, if we're starting to recognise it, if we're starting to see it, and I think, we it's something that, we actually have to be aware of all the time because, yes, we can start telling a different story in our lives, but those old stories, those old nuggets can come back. If we want to seek change, if we want to see a different story for our lives, how do we go about doing it?
Well, you've got to make the decision. I always say that you've got to get to a point where actually I don't want to stay like this anymore. Because that big question, how's it serving you by staying with those stories? How's that working out in your life, in your relationships? And, that's why I love narrative therapy, which is something we learned when we were in doing our diploma in counselling. It helps you look at the stories. It helps you become an expert in your own life. And then you have this ability to go, well, if I can identify this story, then surely I can change it. I'm the one who can change the story. So it's about going, all right, I'm identifying these are the patterns that I'm in all the time. These are the behaviours. It's because of this story, this belief I've got in myself. Start asking some great questions like, well, is this really true?
Yeah.
Start gathering evidence to prove that this story in your head is not, in fact, true.
So, I mean, because what's quite interesting about storytelling is that one person can see something one way and then another person can interpret entirely differently. And so we're having different realities of the same experience. Would that be correct?
Absolutely. Two people can go outside in the rain and one will go, oh my God, it's raining, yay. And the other one's going, oh no, it's raining.
Yeah.
As simple as that. So we've all got different role models of the world depending on our experiences, the way we were brought up, the events in our lives. So that's just who we are. Just accept that we're all unique. But I encourage everyone to take that journey within because you actually have the power to make the decision. Do I want to be happy in my life or do I not? At the end of the day, what's the alternative? It's not so good. You're in a place of suffering. You're a victim. You're holding on to these stories for a reason. So it does mean actually taking ownership and going, okay, I'm going to own this. Yep, there's a part of me that gets a bit of a payoff by having this story about, oh, I'm always going to be alone or I'm always going to be fat or whatever it is that's going on in your mind. It does take courage to make that decision to let that go.
Yeah. So in just to wrap this one up, Tanya, if we were to look at our lives and if we were to, say, oh, well, I am like this because of this and I react like this because of this. Can you just kind of wrap it up and say this is how we start to look at the story and see it differently?
Why not have a different narrative and say to yourself, from this day forward, this is how I'm going to feel. This is how I'm going to behave. This is who I'm going to become from this day forward.
From this day forward, from today, in fact, if you're listening and thinking, actually, I don't like the story I've painted for myself. It's not something I want to live. Yeah, maybe someone had, said something or done something that helped you to create this story. But you can say, from this day forward, I want this in my life. Hey, Tanya, you're so helpful. Thank you so much for your insights into this because it's such an important topic. If people want to get in touch with you, if they want to maybe talk through their story and talk through some of the changes they might want to make in their lives, how do they get a hold of you?
You can find me at my website, tanyaunkovich.com, or I'm all over social media, including YouTube.
Okay, well, have a good weekend this weekend, Tanya. It's always a joy to speak with you.
Thank you so much, and you. Bye for now.